Okay, so maintaining our theme of the recently of critiquing horror movies filmed in Canada.
Oh yeah, I suppose that's true.
Yeah, it's a good location to do horror movies. Actually, it really is.
Well, and considering this weekend Morbius comes out, so we
finally,
figured,
right?
Let's just not talk about it.
Right, finally, right.
So yeah, it's not exactly April Fool's Day, but we're going to celebrate with a couple of fools anyway. So join us as we talk Fred Walton's film from 1986, April Fool's Day. And welcome back to the show. I'm one of your hosts, Kyle Goethe from GoatFilmReviews.com.
I'm Nick from the St. Paul Filmcast. Thanks for finding us. Thanks for watching. And for our loyal fans, thank you for continuing to support the show. Hey, we're on Twitter and on Instagram. Contact us that way. We do have a Patreon with some great options. Check that out. And today we're going to talk about, I don't know, it's a cult classic?
I would say cult classic.
Yeah, cult classic from 80s, of course. It's a horror movie, but is it a horror movie? April Fool's Day.
Yeah. So when a group of college students arrive on a remote island to celebrate their last year at school together, they discover that they each carry a past secret. Worse, they're celebrating on April Fool's Day, and as they are slaughtered one by one, their friends have to question which murders are pranks and which ones are real.
Now, I'm not going to really all hate on this movie because my favorite Amy Steele's in this movie. You know, the real good final girls in this.
So let me preface everything. I'm going to get into spoilers right at the beginning. So check out the film first, then come talk to us. But this is such a Friday the 13th feeling movie.
Probably why they got her.
You have Amy Steele, you know, one of the best final girls in Friday history.
She's not Amy to me. She's always be Ginny.
Well,
yeah,
and then
probably
we have
forever see her.
Frank Mancuso Jr., who produced a ton of the Friday, like the best Friday stuff and the real meat of that series. And I kept thinking to myself, so knowing that the ending of this film, the big twist is that none of it's real, I really wanted them to like pack up for the weekend, and then as they're about to drive out, a hockey masked killer shows up and slaughters them all, and it's like a secret Friday the 13th sequel the whole time. I would have loved that. People would have went nuts in the theater if that had been the ending to this movie. All that being said, though, this is one of the few it's not real movies where I love it.
You do like it?
The whole way through,
yeah.
I question every time, like, is it real, is it not real? Even knowing how it ends, I'm into it the whole way, and it's like, they hit that perfection level of, like, it's not real, and you just wasted your time watching it. I love it.
There's so many elements that they use from Cabin in the Woods from this movie. You know,
I mean, it's a very Cabin in the Woods movie.
Yeah, and then Agatha Christie's, and then There Were None.
Oh, yeah.
Where they go on an island and everybody slowly dies one at a time. Very much like that.
Yep.
So, yeah, very much like you see elements that you know that you recognized before. But you can imagine my 10-year-old me seeing this with my cousin. I think I threw my shoe at the TV. I was so mad that no one did.
I think it has to do a little bit with what you go into the movie thinking. Like, you know, when we talked about movies like Bay of Blood, like Blood Diner, like those, like, super cheesy, super graphic movies. This movie isn't graphic by any sense, but it's a great movie to get a couple of friends around, and that's what I did watching this in high school. Is I got a bunch of friends. We rented this from the video store. We went down to like their parents' like business, and we watched it in like the basement of this business at night. This really creepy room. We all had popcorn. We all shouted at the TV, and we had a lot of fun watching it.
This is one of those, like we talk about a horror movie. This is one of those you like. Well, the dead zombie Nazi one.
Yeah.
I think Dead Snow. I think you need to watch this with a group of people.
Popcorn, chicken wings, beer. Give me some.
But, yeah, I was really my 10-year-old self. I'm sure me and my cousin threw shoes at the TV. We're so mad at the ending. But it has the surprise element to it because the title tells you. Right?
Yeah, you know going in, and not to mention they hit at you every like few minutes for the first half of the movie and let you know that nothing's happening. And I guess part of it is that it also comes down to can you be friends with the characters? Because they're a bunch of goofy kids playing pranks on each other. Could be seen as annoying by some. I was a bit of a prankster when I was younger, so I felt myself in Biff and the others.
Well, that Thomas guy, Biff.
Tom Alf Wilson.
He was a stand-up comedian before he was in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he's a funny guy.
It's nice, and I think, again, like, they got people that knew horror, they got people that knew comedy, and they kind of gelled them all together. It's interesting to see a director like Fred Walton attached to this as well, because he became very famous for When a Stranger Calls and When a Stranger Calls Back, which are two, I would say, very dreary horror movies.
No, there's no, like, there's always that constant foreboding, where here it's like...
And there's, like, a depression to those movies, whereas, like, this is a very lively
It's like this is like a kegger, but you keep interrupting the kegger by murdering everybody.
Yeah. Which is how the best keggers happen.
Right. But Fred Walton also directed, and we talked about it before, when we did P2, he directed Trapped, which was one of the great
That's right.
cable to TV movies of Trapped in the... It's like Die Hard, but it's a horror movie kind of a thing. We should critique that.
It keeps coming up. We're going to have to do some looking, I think. If you got a copy, send it in. I think, it's... Fred Walton is not the director that I would have pegged for this. I saw a lot of similarities between April Fool's Day and another horror movie from the 80s that really embraced the silliness aspect, and that was The Mutilator, also known as Fall Break. It's been released as both. That was a movie that spent like an hour of its 80-minute runtime with a bunch of kids goofing off at a cabin, and then 20 minutes of murder.
We were obsessed with the ending TOR in the 80s, like the Exterminator, the Mutilator, the Terminator, everything like that.
There's a cinematic universe in the waiting to happen.
Right. So I was going to tell you before, I would say this is an elementary step for Scream.
Yeah. It's very much a self-aware horror movie.
Yeah.
And I think
because it tells you the formula of what horror movies are.
They tell you very early on too.
This is what you need to do. You get all your collection together, and then you don't get this movie without Cabin in the Woods with the pothead, the academic. Yeah.
And all the people that are friends with the main characters showing up, and some of them don't know each other, but they each hit an archetype very well. Like the snooty girl who's studying for finals, the rich man who's going to make a nice lady out of her.
I'm going to be a .com millionaire.
Yeah. I think also the reason why this movie has persisted since '86 in a way that other very self-aware it didn't all happen horror movies did is because it's light on violence allowed for a lot of late night TV airings. This thing was on TV a lot. I remember
it being on TV. Yeah, I think it was mid '80s. I remember being on TV and they blurred the eyeball thing. They blurred it.
Yeah, they do that. There's no nudity in it.
No, but they blurred because that was on the cover on the VHS cover in the back. You flip it and it's like, that's the enticement. Like, hey, let's watch this. We're like 10 years old. Let's watch it because of the guy's eyeballs hanging out. Yeah.
And the thing is, it becomes so apparent so quickly that it's not an eye, like it's not real. The eyeball thing. That's
don't tell 10-year-old me.
But when you're watching the movie though, like why blur it out? Because 2 seconds later they reveal that it's a fake prosthesis anyway. But yeah, Sci-Fi Channel would air this thing. I think TNT would have it on every once in a while. So it was like it persisted in those kinds of circles, and I think that's
blared on regular TV, not the movie channel.
Yeah,
the regular TV because they had it on. I remember it's like midnight after you see the TV show Friday the 13th. This will be on.
Yep.
And then you get mad, and then you realize she never had her hair long enough to do that on the cover.
That's
Even
true.
though it's one of the most iconic covers of the 80s.
Oh yeah,
that's right up there with The House.
Yeah, that's true. And I think the twist is risky. I mean, I think it doesn't sound like the twist worked for you.
And the double twist.
There's
two of them.
Double, triple twist. The
triple, yeah. It's like the Dario Argento knife. They probably call up Dario Argento to have it.
Yeah, probably. The man's busy.
Yeah.
I was thinking about a television series I was a huge fan of from about 10 years ago with this movie, and that was Community, which kind of had one of its inherent jokes being there was an episode about conspiracy theories where one of the characters doesn't know who's really a conspiracy theory, so he just keeps flip-flopping on everyone the whole episode. That's what this movie is, basically. Was at the end, the character on the show at the end goes, I don't know who to believe, I just kept trusting people. That's how this movie is in a nutshell. And so I guess the twist works if you embrace the camp of it. And I think I was in the right
need to be in the right situation to enjoy it. Very much like The Initiation.
Yeah, I
borrow
think so
a little
too.
bit from The Initiation of everybody get together, and I'm going to pick one of them up, and they have that evil twin, good twin kind of a thing, Buffy and Muffy.
There was so much time spent on certain glossy 80s horror movies that would spend a lot of time on developing the characters, showing the attractive people, doing silly things for like 90% of the runtime, and then they would introduce the killing like at the end. Like things like the aforementioned Mutilator, things like The Initiation, where like they spend so much time on the non-horror parts that the horror needs to really ramp up when it gets there. And I think because this film had me convinced that what I was seeing was not going to end up being not real, to the point where I didn't care when it was revealed.
Yeah.
I think it's that tightrope walk you have to do as a filmmaker that I think is so impressive because I didn't care.
Right. Right. I mean, you've seen it when it's been retro, right?
Yeah.
You've seen when it's older, but in the days when we were so used to consuming slasher movies, and they tell us what that is, and then we get mad because it's almost like you slipped the rug out of us. But you enjoy the journey. You have to appreciate what it is for. Not to mention the title. You stupid idiots. Right. Title.
Well, we've talked recently about the Midnight Meat Train and how that title didn't sell us the movie right. This is a title that tells you exactly what the movie is, and it makes you feel a little silly. It makes you feel a little dumb for not realizing. Because I watched it with a couple people that expected the whole movie, that the twist was going to be that it was real.
Oh.
And so at the end, you feel dumb if you thought it was going to be real, and you feel dumb if you thought it was going to be fake. Like it's a movie that is constantly toying with you. And I know there was another person that was watching with me that first night that had their shoe been able to be removed, would have thrown it at the TV. But that's kind of the reaction you want, is you want that like midnight movie aesthetic to it. And that's why I think the remake doesn't work. There was a remake in 2008.
Yeah, I've never seen the remake
because it kind of looked like the Prom Night remake or like the Night of the Demons
glossy
remake, where it was like so glossy, but then also low budget with actors that were big. Like there was just all these parts of it where I was like, not for me. I'll catch it one day, just not now.
It's just so funny that he made this after doing Back to the Future.
Yeah, he must have. It almost looks like he looks younger.
And he looks younger too, right?
So I feel like, did he shoot it beforehand and it sat on a shelf? I don't know. But we also had, we had people like Deborah Foreman, who is on the cusp of doing things like Valley Girl and like kind of
she
really
did with
hitting
Nicolas
it well.
Cage. Nick Cage, yeah.
We have Ken Oland, who I always remember him as being in a Friday movie, but no, he wasn't in a Friday movie. He was one of the leads in Leprechaun.
See, that's another deceiving point, because isn't him and Amy Steele together in the movie? Yeah. And so you almost say attached, like, yeah, they do Friday the 13th together.
Yeah, I always think of Ken Oland as being in a Friday movie, but he wasn't. He was in Leprechaun. So
Jennifer Aniston. Yeah.
So we've got people that kind of like rode that line of being, in the mix of being in these kinds of movies. I like the cast of characters, though. I think they're a lot of fun. There is a novelization for the movie that is available that you have to hunt it down because it's very hard to find, but it actually has goes into the character relationships a lot more, and it kind of gives you a little relationships. Yeah, there's a lot more going on that I think was either chopped out of the screenplay or stuff that was just added to bulk up the novelization. But it's a fascinating read. I read some excerpts of it. It's a fascinating thing to read when you know the movie and see how that plays out differently.
Yeah, it's almost like a movie that recognized how to make movies. And that's the feeling, because the props and the knives and everything. Because you would wear, if you throw a knife at somebody, they would have a packet on their stomach that would catch the knife and it would stay in there. And they use that, and the makeup and all that stuff. And that's the interesting part. It's that magic, movie magic. We like to be fooled, but then you show us the trick, and it's like
yeah. And that's why I think this movie would be so hard to market. I don't know much about how the marketing went, but obviously you thought you were seeing a straight-laced horror movie when you saw it.
Throw my cats.
And I found this in the horror section of the video store, which it should probably be in.
Yeah, but it's hard to put it.
How do you put it in comedy? Because then that kind of ruins the twist. Yeah. If it's not in horror, it's hard to market. So I kind of appreciate how difficult a movie this would have been to get released to make anyone happy. And that's maybe why it works best as a retro movie.
I like at the end of the big reveal when she does the exposition dump.
Oh yeah,
Buffy. If you look at the background, the one that's book reading nerd, she's still doing it. I don't know if she knows she's in frame, but she's just sitting there like this the entire time where everybody's having a party. So she must have just not known she was still in frame, but she just stood there like her head down reading the book, and it's like not engaging anybody.
See, that's where I've always come to defend something else about a different movie because of this movie. At the end, the exposition dump is so heavy with that last few minutes that, it helps you not care as much about the exposition dump, just knowing the twist. You're like, okay, I don't really care how it happened. I just think it's funny that it happened. But a couple years later, I saw for the first time Psycho, which ends with a large exposition dump. And having seen April Fool's Day, I think that's one of the reasons I wasn't as irked by the exposition dump in Psycho. I was ready for it.
See, I remember when I watched this as a kid, and when you see that big, they're in the room, and I thought, are they ghosts? Are they going to haunt? Is she the killer, and they're going to haunt her, or something like that? That's how
It's got layers of twists through the whole thing, and so you don't really know what to believe. Yeah. It reminds me of another film actually that has a specific day in the title, and that's Happy Birthday to Me, which is 2 hours of constantly twisting narrative to the point where the movie ends and I'm actually a little lost. I don't really know what happened.
Was there really a bird?
Like,
yeah.
There's so many reveals happening in that movie, and you're trying to like work out like next time I watch that movie, I'm gonna have a notepad with me and I'm gonna take notes on Happy Birthday to Me because I get lost about an hour in.
Hey, it's an 81 slasher movie. 81 was a good year. 88 and 81 were great movies, great years for horror movies.
Yeah.
Right. So you still have a copy of this?
I do.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly how I got it. It's a 3-pack with Graveyard Shift, the Stephen King adaptation, and Tales from the Dark Side, the movie.
And see, I'd rather have the cover than the movie. The cover is a great deal, right? It's a good catch.
I did think when I saw this poster, because I'm trying to put posters out in my wall, in my hallway outside my office, and I'm trying to think like what horror movie posters would look good in there.
House
and I did think about
April
April Fool's Day. House is an absolute going in there.
Yeah.
But April Fool's Day was one that I thought would be kind of fun to place as well. I basically want to scare the crap out of my nieces and nephews when they come to visit.
But I think we're going to crap on the movie, but I think it's the right time for the movie to be made for 80s slasher movies. Because
I don't
it tells
think
you
it could work any other time.
No, especially in the mids, because it tells you the formula. It tells you that you can have a parody, but you can enjoy it, and you don't get Scream, you don't get Cabin in the Woods without this movie.
That's true,
Even
and I think that's
it
why
shows you this-
Scream and Cabin in the Woods are more successful, is because you get all of the stuff you get in April Fool's Day, but you also get the gore and the graphic violence and the the thing that horror movie fans have come to see. It's again going back to Midnight Meat Train. We went and saw a movie that we expected to be really hardcore. Like that title tells you this movie is going to be bloody and gross, and you don't get that. And it's kind of like again going to a horror movie. You're expecting to see some young attractive people get hacked to bits, and you don't really get that in this movie. And it works for some, and it doesn't work for others. And that's why I think this movie, as much as we can crap on it, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I tell if you haven't seen the movie and you've been watching us, I'm really sorry you've had it ruined for you, but watch it for yourself.
And I think you have to see it.
Yeah.
I think if you enjoy horror movies and you love 80 slashers, it's a requirement because you see like the influence of Bay of Blood in this movie.
Yeah.
You see the influence of like, Agatha Christie's, and then there were none, where you get your enclosed environments on an island, lake, whatever.
Yeah.
And you get you need a mesh of characters, and you slowly go one by one until you get the big reveal. We love that formula. It's effective. It works, even though you're being manipulated.
So let me ask you this. Since there is the twist followed by the twist.
Yeah.
Would the movie have worked better for you the way it is, or removing the it's all fake twist and having the Muffy Buffy twist be our final twist?
I'm one of those camps that if you're going to do a parody, maintain it's a parody.
Okay.
Right? I think if you did that ending, then people will get upset again. Like, you just fooled me again. People fool me once, fine. Do it again, I'm going to get upset. And I think right?
That's fair.
Right.
So you think it'd be better with the Muffy Buffy or better with the it's not real?
It's not real. And I think even the ending with the Argento knife and, and then she's like, winks at you like, I mess with you again. I enjoy that. Because you understand the elements like, okay, turn off the lights, all this. And then, where did she come from? She wasn't in the next frame.
Yeah.
And you get all those things that we enjoy from horror movies. And then you're like, oh, we're just fooling with it.
Exactly, yeah. So
if you do parody,
hopefully you've seen the movie before watching us talk about it, but I think it's a great movie to introduce to other people.
I'm talking with a lot of other writers. Parody is the toughest thing to do because you have to shoot legit. You got to make it like we're really seriously doing this, and then you have to have fun mockery of it.
Well, that's why the best parody people are people like Mel Brooks, which we've done a number of videos about. Yeah. And I always use this quote that I paraphrase, which is, in order to parody something, you have to love it. Mel Brooks loves the things he's making fun of. Yeah. And then also, playing it straight. Leslie Nielsen is one of the best actors for parody because he always played it straight. He was the straight man in the movie and everything else was insane. And so I think those are the two, if I look to anybody for parody, it's Mel Brooks and Leslie Nielsen because they both knew how to do it right. This movie hinges on that parody really nicely where I'm not sure if it was intentional parody or not. No. Whereas a movie like Slumber Party Massacre was written as a parody and shot as a real movie.
And there's some deep parody in it, but it's advertised as a legit.
Yeah. And that's why I think the biggest problem with this movie is that you don't know what to expect going into it, so it either works or it doesn't, and it's almost like a flip of the coin.
I would tell you what, I would really be interested in see what Sidney Lumet would have done with this movie, especially if he did parody with Network.
Yeah, well.
But if he knows parody really well,
I would have liked to have seen a Lumet slasher film anyway.
Even
if it wasn't a parody.
Right. So
yeah,
I enjoy going back to it. I don't really know where you turn. I know you actually get a kick out of it. I do like the formula, like all right, if I want to write a slasher movie, I got to do this. I got to do this.
Yeah.
So it's almost like explains it to you as a parody.
It's
Almost
a
like,
good class.
yeah, it's almost like if you want to do a Frankenstein movie, you got to watch Young Frankenstein before the original because you understand the elements that work. Yeah,
That's fair.
Yeah.
So, have you seen April Fool's Day? Let us know down in the comments section below. Should we actually try to watch the remake? I mean, I don't know. Let us know in the comments if you think the remake is actually worth visiting. Or better yet, if you really want to sway us, join the Patreon. The link's down in the description.
Tell us what to do, right?
Yeah, tell us what to do. If you really adore the remake to April Fool's Day and you think we're nutso for not watching it, join the Patreon, sacrifice a cup of your Caribou coffee every month, and tell us that the remake is worth our attention. And while you're down there as well, 2 things that you can do that are free that help support the channel is liking and subscribing. They make sure you never miss episodes and that you're always here to see us because we love seeing you. Check us out next time. We'll be back.
Reach out to us. We like when you talk about the movies. Comments. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah, our favorite thing in the world is getting comments from you fine people, and we do appreciate it. Once again, you can find all my film reviews over at goatfilmreviews.com.
You can find my show, the St. Paul Filmcast, anywhere you find podcasts where I interview local filmmakers from the Twin Cities area.
All right, perfect. So go play some pranks on your friends. They won't believe it because it's April 2nd now, so they're not going to see it coming.